Hi, guys. I'm coming to you today to talk to you about grading writing and some of the things I've learned over the years with grading writing that's been helpful to me. Maybe it'll be helpful to you. Back in 2012, we adopted the Common Core standards where I teach and um, quickly moving our writing standards to more informational writing and essay writing and then personal narrative writing. So each year we start with personal narrative, then we move into a research project paper, and then we do an essay at the end of the year. But I think the mistake that some teachers make is as kids write in school, they often think they have to grade everything the kids are writing. And I can tell you that one of the big tips I've learned is to not grade everything and to just grade at certain times. And it keeps it more manageable for me as a teacher because um, with standards based, which is what we do at my school, I would get a really big headache if I was grading everything all the time. And really, formative assessments mean that they're quickly checking in, and summative assessments are what I'm talking about when I say grading for the grade book, for the report card. So, formatively, yes, I'm assessing all the time, lesson to lesson. I'm seeing if kids are catching on. Sometimes I give them a specific goal. I'll go more into that when I talk about conferencing. But first, I want to talk to you about pre assessing. The first thing I do when I start a unit is I give kids a prompt and I let them write. So if I'm doing personal narrative, I'll tell them to tell me about something they did last summer because we start at the beginning of the school year, and I kind of just look to see if they can do some of the skills that I will be teaching. And it just really gives me a good baseline to see if kids grow. And it's something I can encourage them with if they show growth in any piece of the writing as they go along. So after the pre assessment, I often let kids choose that idea or other ones that we generate together as a class. And as we begin the writing process with personal narrative writing, um, I start to teach skills along the way for generating ideas and planning things out and revising and editing. And as we go through that writing process, we usually make a stop at conferencing with a peer. And before we get there, I'm usually trying to get to about 5 kids a day around my room, just sitting with them, seeing what they're working on. And while I do that, those are my quick check ins with them to see um, were you able to apply the lesson that we have been teaching and going with. So some teachers choose to give participatory grades here or choose to give them kind of a process grade here to see if they're following along. That's up to your school and district whether you can do that or not. I don't count those as part of the grade because for me, I really want to see what they've soaked in along the way and where they're at the end. So um, I help guide during that conferencing time and I take notes for myself about where they are at and how far they've come. Um, I also point back to the rubric I use at the very beginning to say, like, look, you're still in this spot, and how are you going to make a goal for next time when we meet? What do you want to work on? And that becomes a good conversation that we can have. Um, so after conferencing and editing and revising, um, we end up celebrating our writing and our excitement for writing. I never along the way in the published copy that they're going to turn in as their final, I never write on it. I don't use red ink. I don't scribble that they didn't do their capitals or their periods. I write on a separate sheet of paper, and I want to show that to you today. So I use this assessment for the beginning draft to say, I'm sorry, I use this rubric for the beginning draft to say, how are you doing on these things? These are the things I'm going to teach you. And I give them a yes, starting to, or not yet. I just think this is really positive language. It helps move them on a continuum from not being able to do it to yes, I can do it. Um, and if you're uncomfortable with that because you have to give grades, I also have, a 4, 3, 2, or you can easily assign this a 1, 2, 3, or 3, 2, 1, however you guys do it, and give points if you need to do it that way. But when I grade writing, I am looking for observations, and I'm looking for things like, can they keep up with lesson to lesson? Can they apply it to their writing? Um, I do want to know about spelling, punctuation, and all those things too, but um, I'm kind of grading that also in other areas throughout the daily work and things they're doing too. So I look at these areas about for each skill. I can show you that this is the essay rubric, different skills, but same things. And then I have the informational rubric as well. So by the end, all the skills have been taught and they've gotten good feedback. But even when you check these boxes, it doesn't always say a lot of who they are through the process of writing. So a lot of times I give some feedback here. And yes, this does take time, but I feel like I'm not grading so much week to week, so it deserves a good grading session at the end. And then this is what I use to transfer to the report card.